Hi, I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Encompassing Life Podcast. And today we have Brian Berneman on the call today, and he is calling us from Auckland, New Zealand, by way of Argentina, California. So he's had an interesting life for as young as he is, and I look forward to learning more about you. So welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you, Mark, for having me here. Thank you for the space and for the opportunity to connect and share.
You're welcome, sir. So you were telling me that you've been involved in a lot of different modalities. Could you do like a little bullet point list of everything you've been doing?
Yeah, how long do we have? So I studied more the traditional things, let's say communications, journalism. Then I did my postgrad studies in neuroscience. And alongside all of that, I studied a lot of different modalities like Tibetan yoga and meditation, mindfulness, Reiki, a lot of different healing techniques from Argentina, sound healing, systemic family constellations, a lot of different ways of understanding the human through all of its layers.
Gotcha. And so you got a degree in neuroscience.
Yes,
And where did you get your degree from?
from Argentina. It was just as neuroscience was starting to be a thing. I was on the second year when it started being in university.
Awesome. And so you studied it in Argentina, and then your history. Then you moved to the States, or
Yes. So then I moved to the States. I lived for a while in between New York and Miami. Then I moved to Europe and then I came back to the States and I lived in California in the middle of the mountain in a Tibetan Buddhist retreat center and I lived there for a few years.
a few years. And so you lived with the monks for a few years.
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience, like the especially because it gave me the time really to practice and to really settle everything that I've been practicing for years. And as
Hmm.
well, it gave me a lot of understandings and tools on how to use daily life for my practice because the in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition that I practiced, work is a big component of how you develop yourself as a human being. So
Right.
you're using work and whatever you're doing in the community as part of your practice. So it's not only when you are sitting in meditation and practicing yoga, it's also when you are in
Yeah,
your
yeah.
work.
Yeah, it's in scripture it talks prayer without ceasing. So like everything is an expression of prayer.
Yes.
So how did you get into the Buddhist monk? Was how do you like you just go knock on the door and go, hey man, I'd like to come live here or
It was so the first time back in Argentina when I went to a Tibetan yoga class, the teacher was talking about this retreat center in the States where the Tibetan Lama lived. So I just knew about it, and then it was in the back of my mind. At one point when I was living in Europe, I wanted a change in my life because at that moment I was doing more, like office work. And I thought, I want something different, I want to change. And then I was doing my practice one morning, the retreat center popped into my mind. So I just messaged my teacher back in Argentina and I asked her about it and she said that she would connect with them. And then the following day, I had a Skype call with them. Zoom wasn't a thing back then, and so I had a conversation. And because my teacher vouched for me, the 2 weeks later, I was there in California.
wow. And you stayed on site for 2 years or
Yes,
did you get to go out some as well or
I went out twice for 10 days, but that was it.
wow. So that's a big commitment, man.
Yeah, and it like my commitment was to stay longer there, but the immigration in the US didn't extend my visa. So instead of staying, which I had made a commitment for 5 years, then it was only two.
Gotcha. Interesting. And then you went to Auckland after that or where?
Yeah, well, I went for a year between Europe and Asia, and then I landed here in Auckland, in New Zealand, and now for the last 10 and a half years, I've been here.
Gotcha. And so now You're a citizen there as well.
I am a citizen, yes.
Gotcha. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what you do for people.
Yeah, so I do a few different things. So I teach at the university here. I teach mental health for for the students, and then I also work with individuals, with businesses and organizations running either well-being programs
Hmm.
or coaching or any of the holistic healings. Basically, whatever it is that people are needing, I bring the tools that luckily I have a lot of tools in my toolkit to be able to support them in whichever way they need. So if they need to work more through some trauma and heal that, we do that. If they are wanting more direction and understanding on what to do next, we work on that. So it's been really beautiful that I get to explore a lot of different ways with so many different people.
And so you work at the university and you have a private practice as well?
Yes.
I got you. Awesome. And how long you been teaching at the university?
For the last 6.5 years, yeah.
Awesome.
So it's beautiful, and as well, it's quite, interesting because every semester I get new students that they don't know anything about any of the things that I'm talking about. And unfortunately, I don't know, Mark, if you know this, New Zealand has the highest rate of suicide for young people in the world,
No, wow.
which I was surprised when I came here, but that is something. So all of these years, every single one of my students, has been highly stressed. Most of them are depressed. A percentage of them are suicidal.
What do you think is causing that?
This is just my take based on all of these years of working with it. I believe that there's one is colonization that has been huge here and that's still being lived with the Maori people, especially the reparations and everything that happened when the British came here. That's not that long ago. And also the individualization, now more Westerner type of living, makes so that both parents need to be working to make a living, and
Hmm.
therefore they are not there for their kids.
Hmm.
And so the kids don't have the emotional support that they need. So they don't have any emotional intelligence a lot of times. So I think that the trauma, not learning ways of being with their experience, with their feelings
Hmm.
and emotions, it's a soup that makes it quite a
Hmm.
challenging experience.
Yeah, they keep all that stuff bottled up inside of them. It poisons them.
Yeah, but this is just my take. Like there's no, this is what it is. It's just challenging. And I mean, it's challenging in a lot of places in the world as well. It just happens that I've been here all of these years seeing it firsthand.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot. I think a lot of it is there's so much corruption in our leadership,
Mm.
and whether you follow politics or you don't follow politics, but I believe that energetically people can still are aware of it energetically and can feel it. So they're walking around in the nothing I ever how can you compete with the corruption. So
Mm.
there's no future calling somebody into like, oh, here's what I'm doing with my life. Here's what's possible for me. Here's how I can stretch myself. Here's the best version of me. And until people live into that, there's no self fulfillment. You know.
Yeah. And also, there's so many young people that are much more aware of the challenges in the world with the climate and environment and rights of peoples and wars. And then they are, like, this isn't a good place, like why stay here? Or, like, or how can I cope with all of this that is so challenging? And they
Hmm.
don't have the tools for that. And yes, as you're saying, like our leadership, most of the world leadership isn't working for all of us,
Hmm.
so that makes it challenging.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm a big proponent learning and developing ourselves to be able to understand ourselves and in all of our aspects to be able to actually do the things that we need to navigate this
Yeah.
life with all of its challenges.
And no one's taught kids how to think. They taught them what to think, but not how to think, not how to get their answers for themselves. There's no discernment or very little. You know, their
Mm,
discernment is McDonald's or Burger King, and they think that's a choice.
mm,
And until people really get how really get how life works, I mean, they're just in this hamster wheel. I saw
mm.
a video on Facebook a while back that says the greatest feelings we can have as humans. Sex was an 8 out of 10. Psychedelics was a 9 out of 10. And they said the only thing that was a 10 out of 10 is the conscious use of our co-creative gift, and that's why people get so sidetracked. They don't understand how the co-creative gift is like this is how life really works. So no one really understands how the game of life works, and so they're getting smacked around because they have yet to discover the rules. They get sidetracked in the sex and drugs and rock and roll and stuff.
And at
So
the same time, there's a lot of people that are waking up,
yeah,
and that I think that is what, for me, it keeps me, in a sense, optimistic because there's more and more and more
yeah,
people waking up and understanding there's more to life. And I am a co-creator, so
yeah,
what do I need to do to bring that into the forefront of my life?
yeah,
And to allow myself to, yes, live my everyday life with all of my responsibilities and the things that I need to do, and also all of the what some people might call their spiritual life or their connection or however we want to talk about that. But there's
yeah.
something that is deeper than all of that.
Yeah, the greater the pain gets, the greater the blessing in returning. I like I'm I'm from Texas. You may be able to tell from my accent a little bit. So I like the expression "holy shit." You ever heard that expression before?
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that those words were put together for a reason. And the bigger the shit, the greater the holiness you're going to find in it. Most people try to get away from their shit. You got to go right into it, and every time you do, there's a gold nugget. But you got to show people how to do that.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that, like with a lot of people, part of my work is to make sure that they feel safe enough to be able to look at those shadows or that shit, whatever we want to call it, those parts that they haven't been wanting to see.
Right.
And because that's is, like our systems are amazing to protect ourselves from looking at that. So
Hmm.
once we feel safe enough to look at those things, that is a lot of transformation.
And or have so much pain. Help me, help me, help me, whatever it takes. So what does a typical session look like for you, Brian?
It depends really on what's the focus. So, like if someone is coming with some trauma, for example, we might do some work with systemic constellations, or we might do some work with energy healing. So we will, chat for a while, and then depending on what's happening and the energetic signature of what's going on for them, then I would choose which modality we embark on, and then we work on that. Hopefully, move the energy of whatever it is that is blocked.
Gotcha. How long do you generally work with somebody?
It really depends. With some people, I work 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year or more. And with some people, they just see me, once or twice, and that's it. It really depends on what's happening for them and what type of process they are wanting, because some
Hmm.
people want more to alleviate themselves from some pain in the moment, and other people are actually embarking on a journey for
Uh,
living more consciously.
awesome. So how do people get in touch with you?
So through my name, Brian Berneman, that's brianberneman.com, or Brian Berneman on social media, they
And
can
can
find
you
me there.
spell your last name for everybody?
Yeah, that's Berneman, Berneman.
Gotcha. And so, and your email address is
It's
if
Brian at brianberneman.com.
awesome. And what type of rates like you have? Are there packages you do, or how do you work with people?
Yeah, so depending on, as I'm saying, depending on the type of process that they're wanting, then I have packages for 3 months processes, for 6 months processes, for 9 month or a year process, as well as for individual sessions. And I'm actually now in December launching as well my online courses on the platform. So that's going to be there and that's going to be more accessible for people.
Awesome. And some of your online courses about?
Foundations for conscious living, beating stress and self-doubt, finding balance, meditation and relaxation. So there's a range of different things.
Awesome. And they're all like pre-recorded.
Yes, there's a lot of pre-recorded, and then I'm going to be doing live sessions as well, but most of it is pre-recorded.
Gotcha. Watch the videos, and we'll do a session to see how you're getting it.
Yes.
Cool. An embodiment process. It's just like, to me, it's like, people can sit and watch TV and watch the X Games on TV and see somebody get on a motorcycle and do a flip and do Superman or something. They go, I looks, I know how to do that. Well, it's because you watched it on TV. You may have an awareness of it, but you don't know how to do it. So in the classes, we get people on the ramp, put them on a motorcycle. I mean, metaphorically and with our analogy, but people have to actually get it in their body. Otherwise, if it's just running around up in their head, nothing happens with it.
Yeah. And I know this firsthand when I remember when I went to the first Tibetan yoga class. It was the first time in my life that I actually felt my body. I thought that I knew what my body felt, and that is when I realized, oh wow, I was so disconnected.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
until I was able to get that reconnection with my body, with my feelings, with the energy, and then body, everything that I was practicing,
yeah,
that was missing.
yeah, for real. And that's what so many, like I said, so many people, they had some type of trauma, and they left their body at age 3, 4, 5, or whatever, and they've been living out of body for decades and have
Yeah,
no idea that they've done it, lived that way.
yeah. Yeah,
And
and it's like it's the interesting thing is that some people know that stuff happened to them and some people don't. Like I had this client the other time that she came to explore more around her business. Like
hmm
the flow of clients wasn't coming, so we were working on that. And during one of the sessions, I picked up on something energetically, and I told her, "Can we like do something different?" And so I started to do some constellation work. What came out was that she was actually sexually abused when she was a little girl.
hmm
She didn't even remember it. She
hmm
had completely shut that down. And once we were able to heal that, then her business started to flow.
right.
It had nothing to do with the way that she was actually,
uh,
marketing or anything. It was just the energetics that she was blocking that flow because of what had happened to her.
right. Yeah, I've had so much of the clients like that as well. Remember one lady, she was an attorney, and her business would get to a certain point, it'll blow it up. Her relationship get to a certain point in the relationship, blow it up. And she was, I said, were you sexually abused? She was, yeah. And we, describe that. And she was, here's what happened. I said, well, while that was going on, did your body respond to the touch, even though you knew that it was, wrong per se? And she goes, yeah, she goes, I feel guilty about feeling good. Well, that'll do it. So anytime she started to feel good in her relationship, good in business, energetically, she would blow it up.
Yeah.
And until you have to, it's okay for me to feel good. I mean, that's just as weird as that stuff sounds. And I had my own version of all this stuff too, for sure. And that's how I got into it. And you said you got into it because your parents were getting into it as well. That's
Yeah,
kind of cool, dude.
yeah, I was fortunate that my parents, when I was a kid, started to get into all of this personal development and, practicing different things until they started to find their own. And by the time that I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, they would start to talk about those things in the dinner table. And then they started to invite me and my siblings if we wanted to go to a meditation and stuff like that. And it's been also really nice because through the years, I've been able to, share with my parents my experiences and have someone to talk, which a lot of people that I know, they are the only ones in their family. They don't have any support or anyone that could, in a sense, understand the language they are talking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really, really beautiful to share this journey. And they even came to a retreat that we were leading when I was in California. They came for 2 weeks to a retreat, and it was beautiful having them there.
You know, when I got involved with this, my dad said, "I don't want you talking about this shit in my house." Like, whatever, dude.
Yeah,
So yeah, and I remember I used to really desire him to like what I was doing, and finally I just like, let's just, if I could just go down and just hang out with him and be in the same room with no charge, that was amazing with my dad, you know.
mm,
So just getting to that place with him was really beautiful. I can
yeah,
try to convince him or get my yah-yahs for him to approve me. It's
yeah.
silly.
And like I think this is also one of the things that I tell a lot of my clients once the holidays are coming and it's like you need to go home to your families. How are you going to be with you're saying, Mark, like perhaps it's understanding where they are and what to bring up and what not to bring up to honor ourselves, but to honor others as well.
Right.
And just understanding that if we want to spend the time together, what's the best way of doing that?
So, sir. Well, you have anything else to share with our clients, our audience? Excuse me.
One of the things, that I always like to share is that it doesn't matter where we are in life, it doesn't matter what's happening, what age we are. This moment or any moment can be the moment that we decide to do things differently.
Mm,
And that is, I think, that key to, reclaim our power because in a lot of our life we give our power away because
mhm.
we've been conditioned to do that. So taking back that power and understanding that we have the capacity to make changes.
Gotcha. I end all my calls with one question, and my one question is, what do you love about life?
What do I love about life? I love out of it, I love the opportunities, the different circumstances to explore, to feel, to think, and the uniqueness of every single day and every single moment. I think that it's the perspective that I can bring into each moment allows me to discover with fresh eyes life every single day, and I love that.
Awesome, sir. Well, Brian, thank you so much for being on the show,
Thank you,
and
Mark.
enjoy your summer in New Zealand, and maybe we'll see you again sometime, sir.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you,
Awesome,
Mark,
sir.
so much for being here and for giving me the space.
Thank you, sir.